Okay, cool, good. Yeah, so whenever we are writing queries on parent and we want to access child record fields, okay, then we have to write the inner queries, okay. Sometimes they will ask you, have you faced any issue while querying, while you are performing the SQL queries? So then this is the one of the example you can say. If we try to mention same fields more than same fields twice, then obviously we will get the duplicate fields exception. Okay, that is one of the things you can say, and you can just um, in operator. In operator is something like that. Equal to is something we will use whenever we want to check, filter out with a particular value. Okay, the situation is where ID equals to this thing. Okay, or this thing, or this thing. In operator is something like that. You are going to compare your ID with multiple values. Okay, so this will retrieve all the contact records which are present in this list. So basically, each contact have its own ID. So it will get three records with all fields. Okay, you can write the same query like this also using R operator. Okay, both works the same thing guys, but one says in operator, another says equal to operator. Okay, and then CLI examples you can ignore, REST API examples, so bulk API. Okay, so rest all things there you can export. And then next query is something like that type of fields. So this is also you can ignore guys because we generally not use these things. The next thing you need to learn is the where operator. Where is something like that whenever you want to filter out the records, we use the where operator. So here it says about what are the different things. Where id equals to this one, id not equals to this one, created date less than this one, created date less than or equals to this one, or any last modified date greater than or equals to. So these are all common operators guys, and one of the new operator that you feel is like operator. So generally like operator we used to get the records where certain field matches with the strings. Okay, like operator we always use with the strings only guys, string type of fields. Okay, so it is something like that. So this is the one of the sample example. Okay, this is last name like APPL. So it checks with the contact records where all the last names which starts with APPL guys. Okay, it always starts with APPL and rest of the characters should be anything else. Okay, so it pulls all the contact records where last name starts with APPL. APPL and percentage means rest of the characters can be anything, but starting four characters should be APPL. Okay, and you can give another way also. If you give percentage at the starting and APPL at the end, okay, in that case, it checks for last four characters should be APPL. Okay, so let me just try this one in our queries. Let me open up the inspector. So first of all, ID, comma, name from contact. Okay, just export. and we have these ones. Okay. For example, then I would like to filter out the stuff. So whenever I would like to apply some filters, I have to give where condition. Okay. So on the contact, name is always a combination of first name and last name, guys. Okay. On the contact and lead objects, you can query the first name and last name separately. There are fields. So name is a combination of, so there is unexpected token. Okay. So name is nothing but a combination of first name and last name. So here we would like to just apply a filter condition on last name. Okay. Last name. And I'm trying to use like operator. So it's a last name is a string. Only like operators can be used on strings. So here if you give percentage, I'm just giving ON, guys. Just an example. Okay. Percentage ON percentage. Then it will pulls all the contacts where last name contains ON. Okay. So click on export. See, these are the two contacts where the last name contains ON. Okay. If I don't give two percentages, if I just give ON, then it will just search for the contact. It starts with ON. Okay, there's no contacts like that. Instead of ON, can I give BO? Okay, let me give BO and percentage export. Then there are two records where the last name starts with BO. Okay. Last name ends with ND. Okay. Then we have to give percentage at the starting. So percentage is something like that which makes sure that it can be anything in the starting, but ND at the end. So it just filter out those records where it satisfies this condition. Okay. That is nothing but the where. Basically, while applying the where conditions, we use all these operators, comparison operators. Okay. Equals to, not equals to, less than, greater than, or equals to, less than, or equal to, and we use like operator. Like operator is very important thing, and we use in operator. Okay. In operator is something like that whenever we want to compare some value with the list of values. Okay. Then we have not in operator also. Okay. So not in is something like that, which will get the particular records which are not in this particular list. Billing state is not in this particular list. Okay. Semi joins in and anti joins with not in. This is something like that. Joins, guys. In SQL also we have your concept of joins, right? That means we were joining two tables. Okay. So basically joins we will apply in case of related tables only. Okay. So in this case, account and opportunity is one of the example for that. So here what we are getting is we are going to get the opportunities where it has the closed, sorry, we are going to get the account records where it has closed lost opportunities. Okay. So whenever you have such kind of requirements, you need to get the account and it has closed lost opportunities. Okay. So for that, you have to use the join queries. So first you need to get the opportunities which are closed lost. Okay. So that is what it is getting. So select account ID from opportunity closed lost. This will give all the opportunities where the stage name is closed lost. So on the opportunity, we have obviously account ID, right? So whenever you would like to receive accounts which are in closed lost opportunities, okay, then obviously you are going to give in condition and this returns all account IDs because this is the account ID you are returning, right? Okay. So where ID in this account ID. Okay. This we call it as a joins, semi-join. So we are just doing join queries. It's not the inner queries, guys. These are join queries. Inner queries is something like that we have seen from accounts to contacts when we want to access. That is the scenario of inner query. So this we call it as a joins because we are writing two queries and outer query are join we can call. So inside the where conditions, we are just getting some values from another query and trying it out. Okay. So, and anti joins are nothing but the not in. Just we are going to apply not in. Okay. So using one query, we are going to get a particular field value. Okay, we want to compare ID value in particular list. And that list, instead of hard coding that list or instead of hard coding that value, we are getting that value from another query. That we can call it as a joins. Okay. So what is the main, we can call it as a subquery, joins, outer query, everything is same guys. But you should be aware of limitations. Okay. So it's almost they are giving different situations guys. Okay. But if you are aware of, if you clearly understand 4 to 5 scenarios, that is enough. Okay. But there are some limitations, guys. When you are working with the join queries, there are some limitations. So you first have to understand about these limitations. A subquery must query a field referencing the same object type as the main query. Okay. That means in the main query, whatever the field, so in the subqueries, we are querying on the contact. So if you query the contact ID and if you are comparing, there is no use at all, guys. Okay. Whatever the way condition, ID, okay, account ID, basically what is the field on the contact table which gets that particular account ID, that particular field we should query it out. Okay, not any other fields. There's no limit on the number of records matched in a subquery. Standard SQL query limits applied to the main query. So basically in Salesforce, we have limitations, guys. We can query only 50,000 records. Okay. Only 50,000 records we can query. We can't query more than that, but they are saying that that limit won't apply for the subqueries. It will apply for the main query. So you can just remember these two guys. That is more than enough. No need to think about the third one. Okay. So a subsequent a subquery must query a field which is referencing the same object type. So if you remember this first limitation, you can easily always write the subqueries with the proper relationship field. Okay. Second question, generally there are very less times, but sometimes they will touch. Can I apply some limits on the outer query? Okay. So no limits applied for outer queries. I mean subqueries, joint queries. Okay. These two are the limits. Leave about the rest of the things, guys. You just need to remember those two limits. Let me just. I'm not copying into our document, guys. I think you have this link, so you can go through the things which I have explained. Okay, rest of the things you can ignore it. That's not a problem because 3 years of experience, only whatever the things I'm teaching you is fine. Then the things are next logical operators, guys. Why to how to apply logical operators and are in not in where conditions. This is very simple, guys, that you are already aware of that. Okay, whenever we want to compare, we want to have two criterias in where condition, we will use and operator. We want to have multiple criterias, but we want to query the records even one criteria satisfied our condition. So not is something like that whenever you want to reverse out the things. Okay, then we always use the not operator. Okay, then date formats. This is also important thing, guys. So whenever you want to query something which is greater than created date, you have to give the format as this, guys. No other formats works in Salesforce. Okay. Date and date time. In case of date, you have to give like this. In case this is date time actually. In case of date also, you have to give year, 4-letter year, hyphen, month, hyphen, date. Okay. In case of date time, you have to give T after that. After that, hours, minutes, seconds, and at the end, Z you have to give. Or else you can use this format also. But basically, I always use this format, guys. Third format. All my queries, I always query using this third format. Okay. So you can go to your export wizard. We are just trying to query all the accounts which are created in which are created after 2024. I just given. Click on export. So we got all our accounts. Okay, let me check. Is there any account is created after January? Okay, still we have some accounts. If you want to see the created date, you can add that field, guys. Okay, so these are the accounts which are created on 27th. And yeah, we have created some accounts, right, using data import. Okay, also we have created some accounts on 2nd of January. Okay, 18th of January, one account is created and rest of the accounts are created 27th of January. So filtering out by created dates. Okay. No, I don't want to give the date time. If I want to give only date, yes, you can just give the date also. Okay. Created date is the date type field, guys. Okay. Um, but basically created date is the date time field. But in case if your field is the date type, then you can give the one. On account, I don't have anything of date type, guys. But an opportunity I have. Okay. Close date is something. It's just a whenever you close date is the date field. Okay. So if you want to see what kind of information that close date have, this is how. Okay. So whenever you are comparing date fields, you have to follow year, four wise hyphen month hyphen date. Okay. In case of date time, you just need to follow this syntax. Okay. You can follow the other two syntaxes also. That's your wish. Any one of these syntaxes you have to follow. But I always follow the last syntax because here it's hours, minutes, seconds, plus hours, plus minutes. Again, minus hours, plus minutes. So this is all not required. If you give Z right, it will take care of all the time zones. Is always consider the logged in user time zone only. Okay. Then date literals. So there are other things, date literals, which is also very useful for you guys when you are writing your SQL queries. Okay. So created date yesterday. So these are simply you are going to write queries on your created date, but there are some keywords for the dates. So that you can use yesterday, today. So select ID from account where created date equals to yesterday. That means it will give you the accounts which are created yesterday. Okay. Less than today. It will give all the accounts which are created before today. Okay. And created date equals to tomorrow. So it's not sorry, created date, it's closed date. So opportunities, we can give the close date in the future, right? So if you want to filter out by tomorrow on certain data, you can use the tomorrow keyword. The same way we have last week, this week, next week, last month, this month. Like you can use all these keywords when you are working with your date fields. Last 90 days, last next 90 days. So we use this mostly a lot, guys. Okay. Last N days because last 90 days, next 90 days, or something like that. That is the keywords that will get the 90 days of things. But last N days is something like that. If you want to get 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 5 day, 1 week, 7 days, 8 days, 9 days, like that, you can just need to mention the days here. Okay. You just need to give like this. Last N days equals to 365. Okay. It will give me the created last 1 year created accounts. Or if you want to get the next N days. Okay. So opportunities which are planning to close in next 15 days. Okay. This one. This 15 you can give any number here, guys. Okay. Here 15 is just an example, but you can give any number. Okay. And then if you want to get 25 days ago information, okay. So you can give n days ago, n weeks ago, okay. Last n weeks, next month, n months ago. It's the first few things are something like that, a particular time period, guys. And the next things are something like that. It's a generic. Okay, last quarter, next quarter, last 10 quarters, next 10 quarters. Basically, we mostly use this last n days, last n months, last n quarters, last n years. Okay, next 10 quarters, next 10 years, and we just mention, we simply give that value. Okay, you can just go through this, guys, date operators. You can just try to execute them. Nothing is too difficult here. They are just giving you just the fiscal year, last n fiscal years. It will give me the last 3 years information. Okay, 3 years ago. Okay, fiscal year is 3 years ago. That means it's not last 3 years, guys. We are going to get the information which is 3 years back. Okay. For example, I have been using my system from 2016 onwards. Okay. And right now I'm in 2025. When I mention n fiscal years ago means three if I give, right, it get the information from 2016 to 2022. Okay. Because right now I am in 2025. But I would like to see the information which is 3 years ago. So till 2022, it will receive the information. Okay. Last 3 years, last n years will give me the, if I give last n years, I mean, last n fiscal years 3, it will give me the information from 2022 to 2025. Okay. That is the difference between the last and ago, guys. Okay. That's it. Basically, mostly we use comparison operators, logical operators, and date operators, filters and polymorphic relationship comparison expressions. It's again like in operator, but we don't use this much, guys. Okay, so you can ignore it. The one special thing is query multi-select fields. Okay, multi-select fields, you have to use include operators, guys. Include and exclude, because multi-select fields have multiple values. Okay, so we can use include and exclude operators wherever we are using in operator, right? In case of multi-select, we are going to use it as a include operators. Okay, that's the difference for multi-select and normal values. Normal fields, we always have one value, so we can use in. But in case of multi-select, includes we use. Okay, it's kind of not in, it's excludes. Okay, that is the includes and excludes you have to remember for multi-select. And null operator. So whenever we want to check some value is null, that is the case, we use just a null keyword for the where criteria. So basically for the where criteria, this explains about what are the different operators that we can use, like comparison operators, logical operators, date fields, and then in case of multi-select fields, we have to use includes. And in case of null, we have to use null. Okay. Very, very, very important, guys. Without writing SOQL query, you can't understand anything. I mean, you can understand, but if you learn about this SOQL, it is not too difficult also to learn. If you are very good with your SOQL queries, you can easily write the formula fields. Okay. Because the formula fields also you are going to have the same functions. Okay, almost. Some more, some a little bit extra functions, but all these formula, all these where criteria that you are learning here, they are very helpful while writing the formulas. Okay. Then with keyword, guys. Okay, while writing, so what is the use of with keyword? Okay, with data category, something like that. With publishing equals to true. Oh, this is something I never used it, guys. Okay, data category selections. Okay, basically this is something like that. we have to use some category objects and all, but generally we will not use that thing. But the second one with record visibility concept, this is the main thing that we have used. Okay, this is something like that. Um, record visibility context. Okay, that means whenever you have given, this is another filter criteria, guys. With record visibility context is something, whenever you give with record visibility context, it it will see on your profile level, okay, on your for your profile in the field permissions level, if it's visible or not. Okay, so if it's visible only, it will bring the value from that particular field. If it's not visible, then it will not bring value to that particular field. Okay. But this is something you just need to have an idea. No interview questions on this, guys. I haven't seen anything on this. Okay. And again, a lot of interview questions on group by and having classes. Okay. So group by generally we use for the roll up of stuff, guys. Whenever we say the roll up, we remember about the aggregate functions like sum, count, minimum, maximum. Okay, such functionalities. How to deal those aggregate functions with SOQL queries. Okay. Before moving on to the group by, guys, just I would like to give you a small pause. Any questions on where clause in SQL queries? How to use the where clause in SQL queries? Okay. Next, we are going to, from tomorrow onwards, we are going to start with flows, guys. To work with the flows, you should have very clear knowledge on SQL. Okay. The next important thing on SQL is, so we learned about the second class, select clause. Select clause will help us to select the required fields. From clause will help us to select the object name, and then where clause we use for the filters. Okay. And the next thing is group by clause. Okay. Group by clause. So using the where clause, obviously, it's always we are going to get the number of records individually, just like this. Okay, we are going to get the records as a individually. But in we have, for example, I would like to see total number of how many number of records which are present. Okay, which are present on account. Okay, select ID from account, group by type. So my requirement here is I would like to see what are the different types of accounts and how many records are present for each type of account in such scenario. So if I write simply like this, we'll get one error saying that field must be grouped or aggregated. Whenever you are using group by clause, okay, whenever you are using the group by class, you have to use some aggregate function like count or minimum or maximum. Okay. Depending on the, if you are dealing with the amounts, then we use the sum, minimum, maximum. Or else, if you would like to get the count of the records, then we will use the count function and click on export. Okay. So we can give like whatever the fields that you are using the group by, you can just query those fields also. Okay. You can't query other fields. Okay. For example, if I try to query the account number. Okay. Then immediately it will just throw me an error saying that you have to you if you want to query any field information, either it should be part of group by or it should be aggregate. Okay, field must be grouped or aggregate. Okay, account number you cannot query individually. Okay, either it should be part of group by or you have to get the aggregate values. Okay. So this is the simple group by query where it gets the account type and its totals. We have trade accounts, 3 trade accounts, 4 business accounts, 7 customer direct accounts, 1 prospect account, 4 customer channel accounts, and 3 savings accounts. And 5 accounts we don't have type itself. Okay. This we call it as a aggregate queries, guys. Aggregate queries is nothing but we are going to get the counts or some aggregate functions like count, minimum value, maximum value, and sum. It's something like that. We are we are doing some operations on total number of records, and out of it we are getting the different results. That we call it as an aggregation, and this is the one simple example of aggregate query. And whenever you want to you want to get you want to work with those aggregate functions, you have to use the group by clause. Okay, group by clause every time we use whenever we have the scenario of getting count, sum, minimum, maximum. Okay, for example, you have 10 opportunities. You would like to know which opportunity has the maximum amount. Okay, maximum amount out of those opportunities. Okay, so that is the another simple example I can say. So, max of amount, minimum of amount, sum of amount from opportunity, group by amount field, because from that particular field we would like to know what is the maximum amount, what is the minimum amount, what is the sum of amount, and if we want we can query that amount field separately so that we can view with our eyes what is the amount. Field amount can be grouped in a query call. AM for UNT. Amount cannot be grouped in a query call. Okay. Amount field, we cannot group it. Do we have any other fields? Let me use this field. So basically, these are kind of formula fields, guys, amount and expected revenue. So because of that, we couldn't able to use them in the group by clause because you know, right, formulas fields will get generated, calculated on the fly. So I'll check the scenario like we can create some custom field and try to populate some amount there. Let me check, do we have number of employees? The opportunity. So, so we are using the max and minimum aggregate functions. So, um, group by account ID. Okay. So, for each account, what is the maximum opportunity amount and what is the minimum opportunity amount, guys? And let me just give the sum of amount also. Okay. So, mm, and here we can just get the account ID also. Okay. One account can contain multiple opportunities, right? So let me just try to give account of name if that is possible. Okay. So for example, if I open up this Gen Point account or Dixon PLC account or University of Arizona account, one account can contain multiple opportunities. Let me open up one of the account, Express Logistics and Transport account. Okay, I'm going to one of my application. So this is my account, Express Logistics and Transport account. And if I see the opportunities, I have three opportunities here, guys. Okay, I have three opportunities here. So using this query, when I say maximum of amount, that is my first column. Maximum of amount, it is saying that 2,20,000. So out of my three opportunities, 2,20,000. This is the opportunity which has maximum amount. And when I say minimum amount, it is giving me the 80,000. And when I say sum of the amounts, it is summing up all the amounts and it is giving me around 4,20,000. thousand. Okay, all the three opportunities amounts which is summing up. Okay, so this is the another use case, guys, for the group by. Okay, so group by is something like that. You can group out the records and you can get some aggregate values, maximum, minimum, opportunities. Okay, and if you can give count of ID, so you would like to see how many records are there under this particular account, how many opportunity records are there. Then you can simply apply count. So this account has three opportunities and out of it. So here it is just simply showing expression 0, expression 1, expression 2, guys. So whenever you are getting the aggregate functions, if you would like to understand more clearly, then you can give alias names like number of records. Okay, max account, sorry, max amount. And click on export. Okay, then you will be seeing a meaningful headers. Okay, we call it as a aliasing, min amount and total. Okay, now you can easily understand for this account name, you have number of total records are three opportunity records and max amount is 2,20,000 and min opportunity amount is 80,000 and total overall it has 4,20,000 amount which we are receiving as part of this account opportunities. Okay, whenever you want to get such kind of information, we always use the aggregate queries. Okay, that is the use of a group by class, guys. Okay, so even though if you read it here, simply they are telling the same thing. If you want to use the aggregate functions, when you click on the aggregate functions, they'll just say that average, count, minimum, maximum, sum. Okay, these are the aggregate counts. So like this is the lead source is the field. They are just rolling up by lead source. Okay. If you want to roll up by two fields, counts. If you want to get the counts. Okay. There is no need of giving this roll up, guys. Okay. Obviously, it will do the roll up only. So if you copy this function without roll up also, okay, click on export. It is giving this thing, right? Lead source. And don't use the roll up. Okay. If I use the roll up, which is giving some 23 records where it doesn't have lead source. If I don't use the roll up, it is not displaying those 23 records. Okay. Might be it is just displaying the null records also. I need to check it out, guys, that what is the functionality of that roll up, and we'll explain you in the tomorrow's section. But basically, no need of roll up. We never use that roll up functionality. Might be that is the latest feature they just implemented in the Salesforce. I'll check it out what this roll up does. Okay, but without this roll up also, group by functionality works well. Generally, we write group by lead source. In case of multiple fields, we just say status and lead source. Okay. But using the roll up, I can see it is getting some records which are blank. Oh, okay. Now I can understand. Okay. Whenever you say roll up, guys, it is just summing up the records and displaying into one row. Okay. I think so. So overall, this is like 23. 7, 7, 14. 14 plus 4, 18. 18 plus 4, 22. 22 plus 1, 23. Okay. So roll up is something like that, which is giving a total count as a one extra row. Okay. That is the help of the roll up. But basically, if you want to just see export, here it is just showing you the same counts. But if you apply the roll up, it will just display the one extra row that counts all these values. Okay, that's the advantage of roll up. But basically, group by is something like that which we use to get the aggregate values. Okay. Mm. And the next thing they are telling about the aliases, guys. This is something I told you, right? Instead of displaying expression 0, expression 1, you can just give the alias names and then group by cube. You can ignore this, guys. We never use this one. So group by roll up is one thing and group by cube. Grouping type, grouping billing country. Don't know. I never used this thing, guys. Group by cube. Okay. But tomorrow's class, I'll explain you. I'll go through it and I'll explain you. And aliases is something which I have already discussed with you. Okay. And identify subtotals with group by. Okay. Totals and subtotals. Okay. This is also in tomorrow's class, I'll explain because I never used this. And considerations of group by. The only thing is we have the limit clause, guys. So we can pull only 200 records. That is the one of the consideration I can using the group by class. Whenever right now you have the counts of 5, right? In case if it exceeds more than 200, it will throw the error. Okay, saying that it exceeds more than 200. Can you please drill down your criterias? Okay, that's the only limitation that we have for the group by. Okay, and having is something like that. It's exactly works like a um where condition, guys. But wherever you are using the group by class, right, you can't use where keyword. So to apply the filter criteria, you always use the having keyword. Okay. Whatever the results, right now you got the results of 5 records, right? If you want to apply some extra filters on these 5 records, you are going to use the having. Okay. Having lead source equals to web. No such column. SOURC. Okay. So having is in the sense of it works exactly like a where condition for group by classes. Okay. You can't write the where condition. If you write where lead source equals to web, you will get the exception. Okay. That is the having class. To apply the apply some filters on the group by results, we use the having. Okay. And order by is something like that for ascending and descending. Are nulls first and nulls last. These are the 4 keywords generally we use, guys. Ascending and descending. Ascending small to big, big to small, and nulls first and nulls last. Okay. Basically, nulls first is something like that. So lead source doesn't have any value, right? Whenever you give nulls first, it will display at the top of the records. Nulls last, that record will get displayed in the last. That's the thing. Nulls first and nulls last. That is order by class. Order by class we apply in both the scenarios, normal way condition scenarios and group by scenarios. We can use both the scenarios. And then limit is something like that. We are going to get a particular number of rows. And then there is another keyword offset. Offset is something like that. For example, in our table, we have 100 records. Okay. Select ID from account. Okay. ID, comma, name, comma, created date from account. Okay. I can see the records which are started from 11th, 12th, 2024 to 27th, 1st, 2025. Overall, 27 records. When I say offset of 10, it will just ignore my first 10 records and retrieve all other records, guys. Okay. 11, 12th, 2024, 1649. Okay. Basically, if I take off this offset value, I have 16, 49, 21. I have so many records. Okay. But it is ignoring my first 10 records. Okay. It is giving me the rest of the records. Okay. So offset is something like that. Out of the results, if you want to ignore some records, initial some records, that is the case, we use the offset. That is what they will explain here. Okay. See, for example, if you want to display the records 51 to 75 and then jump to displaying the records to 351, 301 to 350, using offset is an efficient way to handle large result set. Okay. This is the example. Offset of 10 is example which they are giving. Okay. They'll just ask you what is the use of offset. Okay. Offset is something like that. You can just ignore a certain number of records you um, after you query the records. Okay. Hmm. That's it, guys. This is a simple offset ones. Then we have a keyword of update also. Uh, but generally we'll never use that keyword. We use this for update keyword at the end of SQL queries. Okay. For example, this is the simple query. They said select ID from account limit to for update. Okay. Whenever you are writing this for update keyword, okay, then it will just block these records to update from any other operations. Okay. How to log the records? Otherwise, right, if I try to update the records and at the exactly same time, if any other person also try to update the records, we are going to get the record locking exception. Okay. To avoid that, if we write the for update keyword, whenever you are trying to perform some update on these queried data, if you write for update keyword, it will just create a separate a temporary records for you so that you can do the updates. You will, even though the other people are going to work on the same records, it will not impact your operation. Okay. That is the use of for update. Okay. For view, for reference. Uh, I never used these things, guys. So for view, for reference, I haven't used. But basically, your main important things is where class, having class, order by class, offset, for update. That's it, guys. If you are very familiar with these things, that is more than enough. You can just leave about the group by cube also. You can simply say, I have never used that clause because I have around 13 years of experience, guys. I have never used this one. Then you can understand it might be useful for some scenarios, but it is a rare scenarios. Okay. So for your experience, you could simply say it's kind of like what I can see here is whenever we want to get the results in a matrix way, they might be used this one. But for your for your experience, you can just ignore these guys. If you are very familiar with the group by classes, where classes, offset, limit, and having, that is more than enough to answer all the SQL queries. Okay. For update is the another one that generally they will ask you in the questions. Okay. Yeah, that's it, guys. Regarding the SQL, these are the things that you need to remember. Okay. Um, let me stop recording.